Hello, hi everybody. It's Paula from On a String, and I really want to welcome and thank you all for coming along today. It's super exciting as one of the international guest ambassadors for International Bead Week. I'm super pleased to be here and sharing my concept of design on the fly with you all. This is the first time I've done such a large group on Zoom, so I've actually got some technical support to help me with this today. So I'm just going to ask if you can mute yourself if possible, so that there's not as much background noise for other people. And there will be an opportunity to ask questions in the chat area or put your hand up, and my technical support will be able to help with those questions and sorting that out as well. So again, I really want to thank you for coming along and seeing this design on the fly session, kindly supported by Michelle from Beadworx in Queensland, one of my bead supply partners that I work with regularly. And Michelle was a fabulous support to me with this last year, and hence this little design that I'll sort of go through and show everybody as well. So again, if you could mute yourself, that would be great. I can sort of do it technically here, but yeah, if you could mute yourself, that'd be terrific. So let's go through and do a bit of a welcome and thank you for everybody to come along, an introduction. So my name's Paula. I'm the chief beader, I like to call myself, from On a String. And I've been beading for about 20 years now, if not more. And I love it. It's a part of my life every day, and I'm really super happy to be here in my bead studio, beading away, coming up with new designs and resources and things specifically for beaders. So it's a really great way for me to be connected to the bead world through something like this, and being able to share my love of beading and the things that I've done in the past and go through this concept of design on the fly. So design on the fly, for those who are new to this session today, and there's some regulars who are here, so thank you for coming along and seeing that. Design on the fly is where I literally do not know what I'm going to be making today. My bead suppliers, and there's a couple of them online today here too, thank you for joining.
If you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Okay. Can anybody hear me? Let's try that again. Okay, how's that? Is that better? Yay! Well, lucky that was my practice run and I can do it all again. Oh, it's always the way with technical stuff, isn't it? So, okay, so first thing.
You're on mute.
Oh, I'm on mute again. Goodness. Come on. Okay, how's that? Right, I'm going to move the mouse so that I can't touch it, and hopefully that stops me putting myself on mute automatically. Okay, first thing, if I can ask you lot to mute yourselves, that would be amazing, so that there's no background noise. There's probably a way for me to do that technically, but I can't work that out at the moment. So if you could mute yourself, that would be great. Okay, so thank you so much for everybody who's come along today. I really, really appreciate the opportunity from International Bead Week to be here today and share with you my love of beading and my concept of design on the fly. So for those regulars, and thank you regulars for coming along, I do these sessions pretty much on a monthly basis. And my concept is that I literally do not know what I'm going to be making. I will design the projects on the fly with the beads that have been provided to me, and I don't know what they are. My bead supplier for this session is Michelle from Beadworx, and I work with several bead stores regularly, and Michelle comes up with the beads, the colours, whatever is in this little surprise package here that I'm going to open shortly. I'll unbox them live. I will make designs from those beads, and it's a really fun way for me to come up with new creative designs. People really interact in this process and give me ideas as well. They see me doing something, ask questions, all that sort of thing. So if you've got questions, I've got some technical support to help me here today. Please go into the chat and just pop your questions in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer those during the session. You can also put your hand up and unmute yourself and ask questions as well. And I will be recording this session, but you guys are not recorded. So this is only me that gets recorded. So don't fret about being recorded. It's only me. And then I will actually make this available on YouTube afterwards so that people who can't come along today but want to come and see it another time can actually do that. So let's get started with the design on the fly concept, and I'll show you what I did last year with International Bead Week. So last year, Michelle provided me with the set of 12 coloured beads along with some black and white accessory beads. And these were the projects that I actually made from that session last year. And the YouTube video for that is actually available on my YouTube channel at onastring.au. So you can find that on YouTube, and there'll be links about all that information as well. This particular tassel features all the 12 colours of International Bead Week, and they're listed, they're sort of top and bottom in that little ring at the top. So decorative tassel, you can put this on a bag or hang it as a pendant, and I hang them on my bead tray here behind me. That was one of the projects. Another one I did was using some Lipsy beads and some Amos beads, and I love a Lipsy bead. And this one has actually got one of the glass domed pieces in the centre, but it becomes a little bit like a magnifying glass when you look at it, and that's got the 12 colours of International Bead Week around the outside. Again, you can see on my YouTube video from last year how I made that. Another project I made was the celebration earrings. So these again feature Pyros bead and a 14mm black cabochon, and again the 12 colours of International Bead Week. That one is a tutorial that's available on my Etsy store if you're interested in that one. And then another little one I did was just a little tiny pair of earrings with the Amos beads again, featuring the 12 colours. And just, you know, I've actually lost one of these, and so I had to make a third one, and then I found it. So I've actually got 3 of those earrings. But that's the projects I did last year. But you may have actually seen online my dolls that I made as well. So the dolls were, again, the concept of International Bead Week is a rainbow project using one of the colours each month. So I had the seed beads left over, and I thought, what am I going to do with these? So I started making these little dolls. So they've all got different stitches on them. This one has got a single and double peyote stitch on it, little flowers. They've been named as well. So there's Clementine, there's Coral with her blonde hair. She's probably my favourite, Coral. There's Marina that I finished the last one. She's got a herringbone little skirt on her, some flowers in her hair. This little one here is Ruby, which I did a band here, and then I actually coloured the little form underneath that so you can see it. But she's got the straight stitching down the bottom. There's Pearl there with some netting techniques with some pearls on it. Little Violet that I made here with her beach towel and her beach ball. I did that one in summer, in the Australian summer, so it was really cool to make Violet for that. Ivy here in the green, and she's got some little ivy leaves on there as well. Jade, Bluebell with a little bird. So a really fun project, and a way to use up small amounts of seed beads in those colours, but also use different stitches and techniques around hair and accessories to actually make them. So that was my International Bead Week project for 2024-25, and I've already got an idea of what I'm going to do this year, but I haven't started that yet. So let's get started with unboxing these beads. So as I said, Michelle from Beadworx in Queensland, she's actually made up some kits of these beads as well. So if anyone is interested in these, we'll pop a link in the chat that you can go and actually find those beads from Michelle also. And you can make along like I do with these as well if you wanted to. So I've just got a couple more people I'm going to admit. And let's go. Okay, so here is my unboxing of these beads. So these beads from Michelle will be in the colours of International Bead Week, and who knows what else is actually going to be in here. And she's written me a list, which is fantastic. So, okay, we'll have a look at that in a second. I like to sort of unwrap them and see what's involved. And it is literally a surprise for me. And when I work with my bead suppliers doing these design on the flies, sometimes I give them a theme like a colour or a shape or something along those lines. And then they literally do surprise me with what they come back with. And it's always a great fun session for me to make up different things. Okay, let's have a little bit of a look. So excuse me while I put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, we've got the 12 colours in the seed beads here. So there's an orangey red colour, a deeper red, an orange, blue, sort of a turquoise colour, some greens, some black, which is not an International Beadwork colour. I'll put that one to one side. Some other bits there. Some yellow. I'll put the white aside. Purple, blue, and dark blue and pink. So there's my sort of 12 seed bead colours. So you can see where I actually then came up with the doll concept from these, using these particular 12 colours of seed beads. Now, what Michelle's also put in here for me is, okay, we've got some jet fire polished beads in a 3mm. Got some gecko beads, or they've got that little lovely AB coating and etch on there as well. So that's nice and sparkly. Some Pyros beads, and the Pyros beads are what I actually used last year in these little earrings. So you can see the Pyros bead just here on the edge. That one's a jet, an opaque, and this one's a matte. So they're a bit different, and it's called grey light matte, but it really does look black. This one here is a Helios bead. Oh, okay, that's an interesting one. Again, it's got the AB coating on, and it's got the 2 holes. And a 2-hole bead, I love working with them. They're great fun. There is a white cabochon in the chalk white colour there as well. Some crystal baroque. Straight away, there's a drop there for an earring. I'm not sure what the rest of it's going to look like, but there's definitely a drop on an earring with that. There's some mini chalk white mini duo beads there as well. Some lipsy beads. Michelle knows how much I love those. Some candy beads in jet. And we've got some little white flowers and a 12 colour mix of the crystals, which again match the colours of International Bead Week. So really good concepts for me to start with. And let's get some beads out and have a bit of a play around. So with something like the cabochon, that straight away as a single would be some sort of central pendant and something like that. So I'm going to put that to one side for the moment. And I'm going to have a bit of a play around with the earring concept, because when I do these, I like to make at least one earring in this session, then move on to something else, and then move on to something else, and go back and finish the second earring at a later stage. So I'll play around with something else until I get to do the pendant. So let's look at some earrings. Now, these candy beads, these are an 8mm candy bead that have the 2-hole in them as well. So they will work really well with something like the Helios bead. Again, the 2 holes, the way that the designers make these, they're very clever. Often the 2 holes line up really easily. So it's a great way to actually join your beadwork together. So potentially already it could be some sort of Helios bead either side, through that candy bead like that, and then do something with the 12 colours around the outsides. And that could be a component that you could then build on to make a bracelet or something else. So let's play around with that. The first thing I'm going to do is get some fireline. I tend to work with fireline more often than thread these days. And I always start with about 1.5 meters of thread. I'd rather add more thread in than work with a long tangled mess. And I always start with a size 10 needle, and I would prefer to use a bigger needle to start with, and then I will drop back to a smaller needle if I need to get through a smaller size bead. And I use a size 10 needle like a crowbar, and then swap to a smaller one if necessary. So size 10 needle to start with about 1.5 meters of thread. And I've chosen to go the crystal thread rather than the smoke, partly because there's a lot of white and lighter colours in here. The smoke sometimes can rub off on these white chalk beads, so I would prefer to go with a lighter coloured thread. So again, the 2-hole beads, the Helios bead, and you can see here the holes parallel this way, will go perfectly into that candy bead like that. And then the second Helios bead will sit on the other side. So I will now start to put some colour on this in terms of those 12 colours. Just move some of these out of my way. And I think, the concept of using each of the 12 colours is what's really important in here, but not necessarily lots of them. Just a couple of them each time really help with creating that sort of rainbow effect of those beads. So I'm just popping some of those beads out on my mat. My bead station tray that I have here only has 6 slots, not 12. So I will spread some of them a little bit further around on the mat in the little slots that we have here to hold them. Oh, there's a blue one that's popped in there. That one was in the wrong spot. And then start to pick up, you know, 1 or 2 each of these coloured beads to make that rainbow effect. And I'll have to have a look at the actual wheel again, which has been handy looking at that as I've been building the dolls each month, which colour sort of came next each time. So I did use this little wheel quite a lot to actually work out which was the colour that I needed to use next to make the little dolls. So I will probably reference that again today so that I can keep on track with my 12 colours. Okay, there's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's my 12 colours of beads out on the mat. All right, let's go back to my needle here. Okay, now I'm just going to see if I can close that and just see if I can pop the chat up here so Brian can help me with any chat that is there. Okay. Thank goodness we got the sound sorted out at the very start. Had I had the chat up in the first instance, I would have noticed that, but never mind. All right, so I'm going to start with yellow and then go through to the orange colour. And there was sort of 2 reds, wasn't there? So there's the second red colour. The vermilion, I think that one is called. And I'm just holding about 15, 20 centimetres of thread there in my hand. I haven't done a stop bead or anything yet. I may or may not need that. I'll just sort of work through my beading and see what I need. So that's 6 beads on my needle. 6 is probably going to go over the top of that Helios bead pretty perfectly, I would think. Look at that. It's a miracle. That's worked well. I'll come back up through the candy bead and then through the opposite side Helios bead. And then continue on with my colour theme. So the next side will be blue, lavendery sort of blue, light blue, aqua, green and lime green. And pull that down on the other side. And you can see now already, there is my 12 colours on that little combo. Pretty easy way just to get the 12 colours in instantaneously. So what I'd like to do now, I mean, that's very loose, it's nowhere near a finished component, is think about this little gap that's there between the Helios bead, because that's not as round as a candy bead. And I'm just going to pop a size 15 bead in there. So one of the things I tend to do with a work like this would be adding a metallic component. So something like the size 15 bead here. Just going to pop that in between the Helios and the candy bead there. I'm going to come back around through to the top of this piece. And I think this would be a really great spot then to pop in this little mini duo. Because if this was going to be something you're going to make into a bracelet, mini duo is a great way to actually do some sort of join. So I'm just going to pop that in that spot there. Again, another really cool 2-hole bead. Come back through the Helios bead. And then pick up another size 15 through the candy. And all of a sudden this is starting to feel a lot firmer as a piece or a component. Come back up through the 3 beads again. Add in another mini duo through 3. Add a size 15. Sorry, not just there. Go through the Helios first. Add a size 15. And through the candy bead. Look how easy that is to create that little component there with the 12 colours. And I think, you know, the second part, I can then add that mini duo onto the next component. So let me just thread that, finish this one off. So I'm just going to run my thread through here. I don't know whether I need to do anything else around the candy bead. Possibly. Let's do that first before I finish that off. So I'm going to just move my needle to get around to the right spot. I want to be coming out of a size 15 bead. all the way around the other side here. And when I'm doing these pieces, I literally don't know what this design will be. It's often about creating components that can be used in other things. And if I then pick up some size 11 seed beads in the black and white, so I'll just pop a couple of white ones out and a couple of black ones, and black and white, one of my favorite color or neutral combos, whatever you like to call it. If I just pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5, I don't know the number yet, but I'll just trial that and see. Go through the size 15, and there you go. I've now created this little nice bridge on the outside of that. Come all the way back through, and you know, the multiple passes that I'm doing through these beads just make the component in itself a lot stiffer and a lot more durable as well. So I'm going to go all the way through the super duo or the mini duo and the seed beads, through the Helios bead, through that 15, which is my sort of joining bead, and pop another little bridge of black and white beads on the outside of that piece there, like that. So what do we think about that? It's not a bad little piece. It'd actually be a really cool little earring drop as well, but really super easy just to make that. I'm just going to finish off that thread there, and I'll make a second one so we'll see what that looks like as a join. So to finish my thread, I'm just sort of going through that thread bridge a couple of times in the beadwork, and then I will just burn that or snip that thread off. Get my thread burner and just snip that off. Just remove that tail thread as well. Though I could probably leave that if I wanted to stitch something else. But there we go. It's a really fun little component already with the 12 colours, a little bit of black and white in there as well. Looks really cool. I'm going to pop it over here on my close-up camera so that you get to see that. Okay, come back over to here. I'm going to pull up another one. So now this is where I've got to remember what I did. So I've picked up a Helios bead first, and remember they've got that AB coating on them. So I want to make sure that I've got the AB coating on the front on both sides as well. Yeah, just make sure that it's equal on both sides. Come through that bead there. Go through the candy bead. And the candy beads have got, they look like candy. They look like an M&M or a Smartie. They've got a sort of a domed top on them as well. Come up through another Helios bead, and then pick up my thread, my bead path colours. So again, it was yellow, orange, vermilion, red, pink, purple. I could have put these in order. That might have made it a bit easier. Go through that Helios bead again, back through the candy bead, and up through the Helios again. And let's pick up the secondary colorway, which was blue, lavender, light blue, turquoise, green, and come back through that Helios. And as I said, Michelle has kindly made kits available for these beads. So there's a really cool selection there, and you can pop on the link that's in the chat and have a look at those if you're interested in that. And you'll have the video to go alongside and see how it is actually made as well. So I'm going to pop the size 15s in there between the candy bead and the Helios. Now, remember before, I use the mini duo to finish that off. I'm actually going to go all the way around before I do that join because it's not as firm yet as I would like it, and a couple of thread paths through will help keep that a little bit stiffer and firm as I then do that next join. So I'm going to come out of the center of my little blue section here, and now I'm going to join that to the red and orange section because I want to keep the sort of 12 colors together. So again, I've gone through that second hole of the mini duo, and then I'll come back through all of those beads again. That size 15 is a little bit stiff. I just need to maneuver my needle there. And just make sure that I've got the candy beads both facing in the same direction so that the domed part is going to the top. Wouldn't be the first time that I've not done that or not checked that before I pull that through. But let's make sure that is. When I do these design on the flies, for regulars who've been along and watched these before, you know that you get to see me make mistakes and all, and I will explain what I think I've done wrong and fix it on the go. So it really is a warts and all session with me. I'm just going to try and unpull that tangle that I've managed to get in there. So again, the best beading tool that I own is an awl. I use the awl every single time I bead. So if you don't have an awl, by all means grab yourselves one because it is a really fantastic tool for beading. Now look at that, I've just managed to pull the wrong tail out and pull the whole thing out. So let's build that again. As I said, you get to see everything warts and all with me with this stuff. I've just got a couple more people. Okay, let's go back and do that again. So I've got my join in place, but now I want to make sure, as I said, that I get my dome the right way. So that's going to go that way. Pop my little candy bead dome and the Helios again. So a good way to see, you know, what can go wrong with these, because you know things can happen. So let's do that again. Yellow, orange, vermilion, red, pink, and purple, and go through all of those. Just make sure that I've got that going the right direction. Correct. And that would be navy, lavender, and blue, and through that one just there like that. Yep. Phew, saved it. Okay, I'm going to come back now and pop the 15 in between. And the 15 in between the next one. So if you've got somebody that you like to make colourful gifts for, this is certainly a colourful piece with the 12 colours and the black and white neutrals in there as well. A really good way to use up little numbers of seed beads. You don't need huge numbers of beads for something like this. And you still get to have a fair bit of impact with the amount of colour that you can create with this type of a project. Okay, so I've finally got that one to join in properly. And I'm going to move my needle around again because I'm going to do that little black and white edge over the candy bead. And again, the initial component I think would make a really nice earring drop as well. So black, white, black, white, black. And you could alternate that if you wanted to as well. Come up all the way through. So there's my little edge. Go all the way through again. And make sure that I've got my colours in the right spots. Yep. So you can see here I've got green, orange, red on the same side and then blue, pink on the opposite side. So I've kept that consistent with both pieces. That's the sort of thing that you watch out for as you're building something like this, that you've got your colour themes going in the same directions. I'll just pop another couple of blacks out. And again, pick up black, white, black, white, black, like that, and come up through that size 15 bead. So now you can see I've got my mini duos on either end. I've used a mini duo to join those components together. And then we've got the candy beads in the dome going the same way, the AB coating showing on the pieces, and that consistent theme of colour along each side. And this would make a really fun little bracelet. By the time I did a few, it looks a bit like an eye like that. By the time you do a few around, you could put a little tiny clasp on that and it makes a really fun little bracelet. So what do you think about that one? Nice and easy project to do with the beads. So I'm just going to put that component aside because I'm not going to finish that now, but you can see where my theme would go in building that into a really fun little bracelet. So really great project using all of those 12 colours. All right, let's have a look at what else Michelle's popped in here for me. There's some fire polish beads, some lipsy beads and flowers. And I mean, they're going to go beautifully with something like the cabochon. I'll leave those for one side because I think they'll go together. There's the Pyros beads as well and the geckos. And a couple of drops are here too, the crystal drops. So let's look at something that actually creates an earring with these. There's a beautiful drop on them also. So the gecko, as I said, has a really nice AB coating on it. And the gecko bead, little tiny bead, but they're a really nice spike, sort of looks a bit like a tongue, really. I suppose that's why it's called a gecko bead. But, something that can, build and be a nice feature around something. And we could pop a couple of Pyros beads out as well. And a Pyros bead, if you've not used them before, they're a really fun angled bead. I'm not sure if you can actually see that black. Let me just try that on close-up. So I'll get some more thread. Again, I'm just going to use some crystal thread again because of the white that's in here, not so much the smoke. If there was more black involved than white, I would probably go to a smoke colour in Fireline, but I prefer to use crystal where there's a lot of white involved. And, if your preferred option is thread, absolutely you can use thread too, but I tend to find that I use Fireline more than anything nowadays. Okay, now these obviously alternate really well, and they may alternate with these lovely, lovely lipsy beads too. So if you've not used them before, these are they look a little bit like teeth like that, I think. But they're a great bead to actually build around a cabochon, all sorts of things. They're really fun. Could I use a 2-hole bar bead instead of gecko? Absolutely, Anita. Anything that's got a 2 holes in it, there's so many options of how you can actually join different beads together with them. So I use them a lot because of the versatility of them. I just think they're fabulous to use together. This actually is going to look like piano keys when you think about it. It's got the black and the white together is exactly what it's going to look like. So I'm just picking up alternating lipsy beads and Pyros beads together. Probably, 6 or 8 is always a good number for a start for an earring or for a ring. Literally, I'm not sure what this is going to look like with other colours and things on it yet, but let's start with something like this. So maybe 8 is a good start for a size of an earring, or maybe 6 with a drop. I might try 6 actually. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'll leave me a nice little sort of circle that I could potentially put a rivoli in the centre of it. I'm just tying that into a knot, just a double knot. Nothing too fancy because in case I want to undo it at some point. And that sort of circle in the centre there, great to be able to put a little rivoli potentially in there as well and net something like that, which is probably what I could do. Okay, so there's the start of what a piece is going to look like. And because they've got these 2 holes, they're a really great way. This is what I've done. This is why I've done 6. Really great way then to add some colour. So remember I did 12 or 6 beads. So I could now pop 1 of each colour in between those 2 hole beads. So there was a method to why I picked 6 and not 8. And if I go around my circle, So I'm using the second hole there on the purple. Where did purple go? There it is. Pink first, sorry. Using the second hole of those beads. And I've made sure that all of my Pyros beads are facing the same way so that the arch is facing towards the top of the piece, or the arc sort of shape on that. And continue pushing that all the way through. I think that's the next one. I'll know these colour placements down pat by the time I've done a couple of International Beading Week design on the flies. Look at that. Yeah, I could do an 8mm candy in the centre, Michelle, correct? I could. Look at that. Okay, let's do a little bit of a poll. So there's an 8mm candy in the middle. But do I want a sparkle? So I'm just going to grab out, I think, a little 8mm rondelle. So if you've seen me do these before, you know I tend to go and get a couple of things out of my bead stash from time to time to add in it. So I do have some white vintage 8mm Rivolis. So you could have a white centre or a black centre. What do you think? Or maybe a sparkly. I'm still thinking a sparkly might be better again. Any thoughts? Into bling. Yeah, I'm into bling too, Wynette. I do like a little bit of sparkle. There's an 8mm sparkly. Oh, it has to be sparkly, surely. I think it does. Sparkly looks really good. Okay, so I've just had a couple more people join, so bear with me while I do some admitting, if I can work out how to do that. I can't just yet, so I apologise, but I will start to get people in when I can. Sparkly, everyone's in agreement with sparkly. All right, I'll do that in a minute, because what I want to do is do a little bit more firmness around this edge. So one of the things I'm going to do over the top of each of these Pyros beads, I'm going to do a bit more colour. So I'm going to pick up an alternating yellow and orange over that one. Just pop that over the edge like that. But I think it does need a third bead on the inside. So let me go back. I need to pop another bead in there. So if it's not yellow and I need then a metallic or a black or a white, I think I'll do black because of it's sitting over the top of the Pyros bead. So I'll put a black size 11 in there as well. Okay, so there's my yellow. I'll pick up a black and the orange again, and then just go through all of those beads and come out of the vermilion colour. Okay, so putting black on actually also extends the length there of that Pyros bead by having that little bit of black on there too. So I'll pick up a vermilion, a black, and then a red, and go through again. So again, I'm keeping the theme of the colours together. A pink, a black, and a purple. Go through all of those. I'm not sure I'm going to put the crystal drop on that now that I'm looking at it, but that's okay. That's what the design on the fly process is about, is making it up as I go along. We'll see what it looks like, whether it needs to go there or does it go with the cabochon potentially. Okay, so black and blue, and then come up through to the light blue, black, and aqua. And then green, black, and lime. So what I like about doing that extra edge over the top, it creates a bit more definition around the spikes of this potential teeth-looking flower. The black has elongated those Pyros beads as well, so made them look a little bit longer. It just creates another little point of difference. So let me think about how I'm going to capture this Rivoli in the back. And there's that's the back because of the way the Pyros beads are going. So I'll do some sort of net that's going to hold this Rivoli in place, I think. So I'm going to move my needle to come back down out through one of the central holes, or the inside hole of the Lipsy bead. I'm just going to leave my tail thread there for the minute. Now, one of the ways that I like to do these little nets, where's my size 15 beads go? Somewhere. Actually, let's get a gold colour out for this, not a silver. And I love the light champagne gold beads. They're one of my favourites to use as a gold in beading. So I'm going to create a little net that's going to sit over the top of the Pyros and go use the Lipsy bead as its to go between. So I'm just going to pick up, I reckon 7 size 15 beads. We'll see whether 7 might be too many. It might be 5, but I'll try 7. You need an odd number for this, so that you can actually use the centre bead to draw up close over the top of the Rivoli. I'll have to do something on the other side on the front to hold that in place as well, but let's get the back in place first. So again, I'm going through the Lipsy bead and over the top of the Pyros, and I'm just picking up 7 size 15 beads each time. Okay, so I thought for those of you who've joined a little bit later and who I don't know, and thank you so much for taking the plunge and coming along to one of these Design on the Fly sessions. For those of you who know me, you've probably heard a lot about this before, but I will do a bit of an introduction about who I am. So my name's Paula. I'm really excited to have been asked to be a guest ambassador for International Bead Week this year, and I've been beading for about 20-something years now. And my business is called On a String, and you can find me on Facebook and Etsy and all of those places, and on my YouTube channel, etc. as well. And I do these sessions pretty regularly, sort of once a month. I do a sort of design session, usually on a Saturday morning Australian time, which relates well for my international guests. But they're also always available on YouTube afterwards as well if you can't make them. So go along and have a look at some of the other sessions that I have done in the past, including International Bead Week in 2024. Okay, so I've just placed my little Rivoli face down in my net here, and I've gone through the centre bead on those set of 7, and I'm just going to pick up the centre bead, not centipede, centre bead, every time on those little nets there that I've got. And what that'll do is that'll draw up and create a nice backing that'll sit over the back of this Rivoli that I've popped in here, or SS39 it is. So it's not going to sit there now because I haven't done anything to the front, so I'll just move it out of the way. But I'll just go through the centre beads on each one of those little nets, and back through the very first one, the first centre bead. And when I start to draw that close, I'll just move that tail thread out of the way. When I draw that nice and close, you can see how it creates that little net that's going to sit on the back there of my earring. Now, when I pull that, I can see there that it's a bit thready. Got a couple of gaps there. So I think I actually need to add a bead in between each one of those joins. So let me just do that again. Again, literally designing as I go with this. I probably need another gold, and I might pop an 11 in between, not a 15. I'm sort of just judging how big that gap is. And because this is an SS39, it's got a relatively deep point on it as well. And I'll just grab out some gold size 11s to use in its place. So again, I'm just going to come up through the centre. I've popped an 11 on my needle first and go through the centre bead. The gold 11s that I'm using here are my new absolute all-time favourite gold beads, and that's the Czech Aztec gold finish on the Miyuki 11s. So I know a few of my bead suppliers have those in stock. They're absolutely my favourite gold beads to use. So they've got a beautiful matte finish in that Aztec gold colour that is the Czech colour, but it's on the Miyuki seed beads. So if you're looking for a really nice subtle gold to use, these ones are perfect. I just wish they made them in size 15s, and they don't, but they do make them in 11s and 8s. So it's one of my sort of staples that I have in my bead stash. Okay, so now when I pull that close, that's better. You can see how that's just tightened up all together, that backing of the the back of the needle. Now, I'm assuming that you guys can still hear me because I just got something that said Zoom crashed. But no, I haven't crashed. I can still see you all, so, and I've got a couple of thumbs up. That's good. So Zoom's just told me a fib. Okay, when I flip that over, and I'm going to pop that little SS39 in the nest there that I've got. Oh, that's the white one. I don't want the white one. I want the sparkly one. Oh, thanks, Linda. Number 45588. That's great. Yep, Linda's absolutely stocks these gold beads. So if you're interested in some gold check finish ones, they're beautiful. So you can see here, I'm just going to run my needle again through all of those beads that I've just gone through just to tighten the back. It's certainly not going to hold it in place yet. I'll need to do something on the front to hold that, but it is helping with having those size 11s in there. I'm just doing that carefully. I'm not rushing, just to get that held, that little nest of nets, that is. So there's a lovely back on that earring. It probably would make a reasonably nice front as well, but I do want to feature as much of the sparkle as I can. So I'm going to move my needle to come out through one of the lipsy beads again so that I can move to the front of the piece. Just move the needle to come through the front. I'm going to flip that over. And again, really fun little component. You know, this component beading is so much fun to be able to build things that you can turn into necklaces and bracelets and all sorts of things. So, oh, it did crash. Okay, well, hopefully I didn't lose too much content there. Okay, so I could do the same sort of thing, but I think that'll come over too much of the front. Maybe if I might try 5 and see if 5 works. So that means I want to be coming out of the Pyros bead, out of the lipsy so that I'm over the Pyros, because I like the back and the front to be similar if possible. So let's just try 5. And that means that the net in itself is not as deep or as long as what I've done on the back, which had the 7 size 15 beads on it. This becomes a little bit more decorative and not quite as functional, but it will still hold things in place. Sorry, my needle's come unthreaded, so I'll just rethread that. So again, I'm just going to pick up the 5 beads of the size 15s and go through the lipsy and over the Pyros bead. And it's certainly not holding that SS39 in place yet, but I can sort of see how that's going to look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And of course, I'm doing this literally as I'm, on the fly going at the moment. But if you are beading along and going to temp this, you could do a couple more pass-throughs if you wanted to make it a little bit firmer. And as I go on and make a second or, third or whatever with something like this, the more you do it, the more you perfect the technique and work out what the pressure points are and where you need to add a little bit more tension or thread or pass-throughs, etc., to make your piece more and more secure. So often the first one of these that I do is definitely a trial piece. And the more that I do it, I work out, okay, well, next time I need to add, a second pass-through here, or I only need 2 beads instead of 3 or whatever it might be. Okay, so now I've got my little nets on the front, and they actually look cute like that over the top of the Pyros bead as well, if you can see those. So let's go and move up through to the center bead again, and I'm going to add those gold beads again, but this time I think I'm just going to do 2 size 11s and see what that looks like. I might need 3. Actually, you know what I could do? I'm going to do 1 gold, 1 white and 1 gold. So then I'm also bringing in the white that matches the lipsy like I did on the outside with the colour. Or, let me just undo that. I've just had another brainwave. I'm going to do the colour. So if I do purple, white and blue and go through the centre, that's then matching the colours that are on the outside as well. So lilac, white and light blue. Yep. Through the centre bead. Aqua. I need some more white. So you can see now I'm sort of starting to match the colours back in again. So again, you could choose to do all black, all white, gold, whatever. But I think it's a good way to start to bring those different colours in again. So that's green that I need. Again, through the centre bead. Lime, white and yellow. Orange, white, vermilion, and then red, white and pink. And fingers crossed, this little ring that I've just built will hold that Rivoli in place. Just use my thumb to sort of force it in. And it's definitely going to need another round. Yep, but that's actually worked. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go through the size 11 beads, not the size 15 bead, all the way around. And that will start to tighten that. And it's actually, yeah, it's worked really well. If only you could feel it through Zoom. But you'll have to take my word for it that that little capture now is going to hold the Rivoli because I'm skipping over the 15. Pull that nice and taut. Going through all the 11s again. Through all the 11s. And you might need to go through, 2 or 3 times on this. And if it's too loose, I could potentially take out the white centre bead. But I think that's actually going to work and hold. So go all the way, a couple more through. The more you go through that sort of final round, the tighter and firmer that actually becomes because your beads are actually filling with thread. So there you go. I've now got a nice centre sparkly piece on that. I've got the colours that have gone all the way through. Let me show you on. Back over to here. This do a even bigger sort of reflection on the centerpiece there and make that a necklace with different components all the way around. So really fun, easy component to do. For something like an earring with this, all it would be coming off one of the, the points here, creating an earring loop or wire, whatever your sort of preference is there. Create an earring loop and just all of a sudden there's a really fun earring. Now, I did think initially that I would have put that drop on there. What do you think about the drop on the bottom of that? It does add to it. So I could potentially do some sort of drop on there too. Thoughts? Let me know what you think. Maybe we'll try one and see what it looks like. But again, I think this would be a really fun piece as a component in a necklace. or bracelet even as well. Earring on its own without a drop, or an earring with a drop. It just needs 2 or 3 pass-throughs of those final size 11 beads, because I can feel it slightly loose, which to me means I need either I could possibly take the white beads out. I don't want to just yet because it is tightening up the more I go through. But I do have to go through those a couple of times just to sort of stop that SS39 moving around. So let's have a look what the back looks like too. So there's the back, really nicely covered there on the back. And there's the front with the crystal in place. So looks no drop. No drop, no drop. Okay, too busy. There we go. All right, well, there's been a no drop vote. A vote of no drop confidence on this one. So let's not do a drop, and I'll put that one aside. So there you go. That's 2. What's the time? 6:57. So 2 things already that I can see there's potential to make more and more out of both of those pieces with this. Okay, let's put those aside. The big piece. Let's have a look at the big cabochon. So I've still got out the lipsy beads here, some flowers, some Pyros beads, the 4mm fire polish, the crystal drops as well to use with that. And I think then something like this, I did a very similar piece a few weeks ago using some Pyros beads and lipsy beads around the outside. So I could do that, which was sort of a bead embroidery sort of focus that I did. But I want to try something different. I'm not going to do exactly the same stuff that I did last time. So again, I'll get about, a bit over 1 metre of thread. And let's have a bit of a look of what this would look like. I've got the gecko beads to use there as well. And they create a really nice sort of, point and sparkle. I've still got some Helios beads there. Although if I want to make a bracelet, I'm going to need those. So I'll have to think about that. And of course, I've got some candy beads there that could work all the way around something like this. Let's see how they work. I do have more of them if I decide to make a bracelet. So candy beads will work definitely around something like that. How many have I got? 8. And, I could alternate the little geckos in between. So let's try something like that. All right, so candy beads, I'm just going to pick up, I think I'll put a gold in between. And I want to make sure that I've got my domes all facing the same way. So I'm popping a gold in between just to give me a little bit of space around that ring. I don't know the actual number or dimension yet that I'm going to need, but, one size 11 helps with a bit of movement if I need that on that piece. And obviously it's, black and white and gold, or black and white and silver work really well together. And then I'll add the colour components after I've sort of created a frame for this cabochon to sit in. So there's 8 and 1 more gold. And let's see how big that ring actually works out to be. Move them out of the way. If you've watched me do these before, you know how messy I get when I'm beading. I've got, it's what I need my bead sorter for, to sort that out later. Okay, that's going to work, I think, as a ring. And so what I'll do is just go back through, pop 1 more gold bead on, back through the first candy bead. Oh, I already had a gold one there. Take one off. Back through that first candy bead. To create that really nice ring that cab is going to sit. See, now that's going to work if I sit that over the top of it. So it's not actually around the outside edge, which, I could do if I was sort of doing a bead embroidery look. But if I pop it over the top like that, it'll enable me to be able to use that as to encase the back of it. So I like that idea, because then I'm not having to do, that sort of walls and cabochon build up over the sides of my cab, because the candy beads will help hold that in place. And I've got the little fire polish here. No, I'm going to use the geckos. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is just do a little sort of half hitch knot here. I could either knot in the ring, or doesn't matter. I just want some sort of knot to hold that ring a little bit more securely. And they're going to sit over the top, and that's an 18 mil cabochon. They'll sit over the top of that really nicely. I'm then going to bring my needle to come out of one of the top holes of the candy bead there. And let's add a gecko bead, but I think that's going to need a size 15 either side. So I'm just grabbing the gold size 15, and I'm going to just go through the next hole on the candy bead like that. Yep, that's going to work. Okay, so this is one of the reasons I love working with the shape beads and the 2-hole beads. They just add a really lovely dimension to your work. And, you know, particularly the 2-hole beads, they give you so many places to go when you're building a beading component. So if you're not used to using them or haven't tried them, certainly have a look at things like Candy and Lipsy, mini duos. They're all really great starter beads in the 2-hole bead range. And one of my most recent YouTube videos I did a couple of weeks ago was all about 2-hole beads. So if you're interested in seeing some more of that, that is available on YouTube, and it's called What's That Shape? And it's all about some 2-hole beads. And if you're a member of the On a String VIPs group, and I'll get Brian to pop the link up in the chat. If you're not a member of that, please join. There's actually a free guide that I created about 2-hole beads and how I've used them in different projects. So if you're interested in some more information about 2-hole beads, absolutely get on and have a look either at the video or become part of the On a String VIPs group. Okay, there's my lovely little sparkly flower paste piece that's got the black all the way around, and it's going to sit really nicely over the top of that cabochon like that. And what I want to do now is think about how I'm going to hold that in place. So because it's holding in the front, I need some sort of net to hold that in the back. So I'm going to come out through one of the size 15 beads and build that same sort of netting concept. Actually, I might just use white beads, I think, with this, so that the back is all completely white. I'm going to pick up 5 white beads, go through the next 15 gecko and 15, and I want those beads to sit on the inside of that ring. And I want an odd number so that I can do some netting to hold that in place. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white beads. Again, go through. I'm just going to take the cab out. It's a bit easier to work when it's not in there. Go through the 15 gecko and 15. 5. And if you're already a follower of On a String, you might have seen yesterday that I launched my new desk size bead board, which is the one I'm actually working on right now. And if you're new to and haven't seen them, the On a String bead stations that I've been designing and working on the last sort of 8 or 9 months are a really fun way to be able to change the mat on your bead board, because they've got interchangeable frames. We've got some flexible inserts, so you can have inserts with numbers and letters on them. You can have ones without it, and this is called our standard insert with half a dozen slots, or there's a freedom insert with no slots on it if you don't want to be told where to put your beads, which really that's how I do like to work most of the time. And they have a really cool lid that gives you lots of bounce when you're working on your project, just like a fully padded bead board, but probably about a quarter of the weight, which makes shipping really reasonable for them. And also you can change the mat on them really super easily if you want to as well. So if you haven't seen them, have a look at BeadStation on my Etsy store. Really great project for beaders. And as someone who has beaded for 20 plus years, I know what I like in my tools and resources, and my BeadStation is a result of my years of beading and what I like to work with. Okay, now I've come out of the center bead there. I'm just going to pop my cab in place. Yep, that's going to work nicely. And then I'm going to need to join that with some netting. So what colours will I use? Maybe I'll go back to the little fire polish that are here. So the black fire polish will pop in there nicely, but I think I'm still going to need like a 15 either side of that. So again, I'll just pick up a 15 and then go through that center. Yep, that's going to work. Center bead. So 15, 3mm fire polish 15 and go through the center. And what I'm doing is creating a really nice net that's going to sit on the back of the cabochon. And the cabochon is a lovely chalk white, and it's got the same finish on the back as it has on the front. So I don't necessarily have to cover up the whole thing because it's just as nice on the back as the front. But this nice deep net that I'm making now is going to hold that cabochon in place with the candy beads, and the little geckos are sitting out proudly on the sides. And then we can do some colour and movement with the 12 colours of International Bead Week. Now I'm going to have to be clever maths wise with that because there's 12 colours and I've got 8 beads. So I'm going to have to do some calculations how I'm going to represent those, but that's okay. Maths may not be my strong suit, but we'll work that out, what that's going to look like. Okay, now when I start to draw that closed, can you see there that little pocket that's creating between the cabs? And when I pop that in place and I pull that a bit tighter, all of a sudden, if I flip that over, you can see how that's going to hold the cab. Not yet, but it will. And it's going to look just as nice on the back as it is on the front. Again, I'm going to need to do, a couple more rows yet to hold that because it's certainly not secure, but really fun way to try and hold that cab like that. Okay, let me just go to the back again and do a bit more. Now this is something, of course, that the crystal drop could go off, but we might do something else with those because there's 2, so I do need to make it an earring at some point. So what I'm going to do now is, again, I think I'm going to come out of the fire polish this time. So I'm literally guessing, where am I going to get the best traction to continue to build those netted points. So let's do a white, black and white, 3 this time. Go through the next fire polish. I might need 3 or I might need 5. I don't know yet. What's going to create the best surface for netting that? Yeah, that's probably not enough because there's not enough pull on those nets. So I need 5. So let's just do another black and white then. Black and white and go through the next fire polish. Yeah, that's a bit better. Okay, so black, white, black, white, black through the next fire polish. And this is all about creating enough texture at the back to be able to hold that cabochon in place. Again, a really great way to do a capture without having to do bead embroidery. If you're nervous about bead embroidery or, getting your stitches completely even so that it's neat, this sort of avoids a lot of that because you're using the beads as the capture and not having to do, glue and thread and that sort of stuff. And, that big nervousness around cutting your stitching or cutting your work with your stiff stuff. So this is another way to capture a cab. A lot of netting, but that's okay. Right, I need a few more black ones. So it looks a bit messy and spiky at the moment, but a couple more rows and this is going to tighten right up and then we can do some beautiful colour on that as well. Okay. So have people been going along to some of the other International Beading Week events? I haven't managed to get to any myself, but I do plan to try and get to a couple on the weekend if I can. And there's certainly lots that have been supported by some of our Australian ambassadors as well, which is great. International focus, 4 of us from Melbourne. So yeah, if you've had a chance, tell me in the chat what they've been like and what you've sort of learnt and seen would be great to hear. So it's a fabulous week of beading that's so much fun for everybody. Okay, now I'm just going to pick up a single gold and I'm going to go through the black centre bead there and see whether that net will close up enough. Yep, I think it will. So again, I'm going to go through the centre black one on each of those nets. Not tight enough yet, but it will I'm sure it will work. If it won't, then we'll rethink it, but I think it should work. So the gold then starts to reflect the gold on the front as well, or the couple of spots of gold I've got there with 15s. Where's my net there? It's just hidden on the inside. Come on, poke your way out. And again, if you've joined me a bit later, thank you for coming along, and thank you to Michelle from Beadworx for being the bead supplier with this great pack of 12 International Bead Weeks seed bead colours and some beautiful black and white components for me to play around with today. And Michelle has generously created some kits of these beads. So if you are interested, please visit the link that's in the chat and you can grab your own set, and then you can utilise this video to either replicate or make up your own sets of things for International Bead Week. Okay, what I want to try and do is move that. Yep, I think it's going to work. I really want to tighten that back up. So I'm using my thumb there really to hold that in place. It's not quite neat enough for my liking yet. It's a bit gappy there and a bit thready. So I might actually need, I think, 2 beads, not one gold one. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a bit thready there. And if I pull it, it starts to buckle. So what it actually needs is to be a bit looser, that net, that final row, so that the front will dome. Okay. Again, learning as we go, but that's okay. Where's my all gone? I'll just undo that final row of gold beads there, because I do need 2 in between each of those nets. One is too loose, and if I tighten it, it buckles and it doesn't look attractive if it buckles. So let's just pop 2 beads in between each one. Okay. So people have been to see the little tiny birds. Yeah, that's been amazing seeing Nancy Jenner, I think her name is. She does a little thing each year, I think, of whether it's a bird or a little doll or chickens, all sorts of different things. And there's been some fun little gumdrop birds that she's made or designed that I've seen different colours of those. I think she had a fairy a couple of years ago as well. So that's been really cool. What else has been? There's some flowers as well. I know there's definitely flowers, because there's certainly some International Bead Week patterns that are for free, based around nature. And I donated my starfish earring pattern this year. So please go on and grab a copy of that. It uses beautiful Minos beads, another one of my favourite 2-hole beads. And some of these Czech gold Aztec beads is what I've used in that project. So have a look at the starfish bead pattern that I donated to International Bead Week, and please grab a copy of it, because why not? There's plenty of free patterns there, and I'd love to see some more people making the starfish earrings as well as part of that sort of nature project. Okay, so what I'm nearly got all my 8 beads in place here, and already I can see that's made a difference by having that additional, what have I done there? I've gone white. Okay, come through. I have made a little error just there, and I've done a white, black, white, but I'm not going to change that. That's going to be the spirit bead that sits in the back of that. Now, okay, that circle is definitely better this time. Still a bit loose on the front, so I need to go and do some more work on the front, but that's going to hold the back in. So I'm just going to leave that for the minute and move my needle to come around to the front. You can see there where I've used white, black, white instead of black, but that's going to be a design feature, not a correction, because I've got too far to go back for that. Amazing how, you think you're picking up everything exactly the same, and no, I didn't in that circumstance. Okay, so I want to come back to one of those front holes on the candy bead, or the size 11 that I popped in there carefully before, so that I've got that sort of bead to anchor things onto. That's one of the reasons why I did that. Now that's not holding in place. You can see that's going to pop out.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
Is your pattern new this year or is it a previous year?
No, it's new this year.
It's not up yet.
Okay, well, it's not up there yet, so watch out for that one because that will definitely be coming. It has been given to them, so I'm not sure what they've done with that yet. Okay, so I'm now going to do I think I'm just going to do black beads on the inside. I'm just going to pick up 4 black beads. And pop them around the inside of my candy beads there. Well, if you can't find it on International Bead Week, and it has been given to them, so I'm sure it is coming, I've got a feeling I put that into the Honest String VIPs group as well, so it could well be there also if you are a member of that. Some black. And then I'm going to think about some colour around this as well. But, black and white's just a striking combination. That little bit of gold, a little bit of AB sparkle there off the gecko beads. And it's just really nicely starting to hold that cab in place. I will have to do, I think, another sort of final row around the inside of this as well. But that's okay. Literally to make it secure, but as I said, making something like this without having to do a bead embroidery sort of focus, and potentially you could do this with 7 candy beads would make it firmer again. 7's odd though, like that's an odd number to work with. I'd probably struggle with that. I'd have to really think about why I was using 7 and not 8 or 6. But 7 would certainly work. I think it'd just be a bit firmer around that again. So that could be something that I trial. And of course, if you used a bigger cab, 25 mil, 30 mil, it would be just a matter of adjusting how many candy beads you'd need around the outside. So that's the sort of thing that, having access to different suppliers and suppliers helps with different design options. What does something look like with 7 beads around or 10 beads around or whatever you need to get around that cab? So I'm just coming through the gold at the very start there. Still a bit loose, but it will, I promise, start to tighten. Now what I'm going to do is go through all the black beads again and skip over the gold. Yep, that's going to work. So when I come through the black beads and don't go through the gold, and I'm sorry, black is a bit hard to see on camera, so I do apologise for that. But yeah, when you skip over the gold bead, it just tightens up that ring, a little bit like what I did in the previous design. Just going through those capture edge beads helps to firm that all the way around. There you go. I just dropped it and it didn't fall out, so that's always a good sign. Okay, the candy bead can. That's exactly right, Malia. It's a bit like the Candy Man, isn't it? Now, there you go. I've miscounted there. I've got 5 there and not 4. So I am going to get my handy awl and I'm going to break one of those beads rather than undo. Again, just one of the, the things that happen when you're designing on the fly is I've counted 5 instead of 4. Okay, so that's tightening that up really nicely. My thread has just come undone. So let's think about some colour options now as well. Now, I definitely need to use 12. So 12 by 8 is 12 times 8, 80, 96. Okay, I'm not going to use 96 beads. I need 1.5, don't I? Okay. 1.5 turns is each colorway. So I need Oh, let me just think. How am I going to work that? I don't know yet. Working it out in my brain. How am I going to get 12 colours? Who's better at maths than me out there that can work that out? This is why it would have been nice with a 30 mil Michelle and 12 beads around. That would have been perfect. But that's okay. I'll work through what 12 looks like. So where's all my teachers out there?
You, 2 lots of 12 gets you 24, which is also divisible by 8 is 3. So
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Whoever's worked that out with the maths. I appreciate it. Okay. That's sort of holding it. The back's still not quite firm enough yet, and I will need to go and tighten it, but I don't want to do that just yet because I want to keep going with the front. I'm just going to remove my tail thread, which is now just superfluous and in the way. So tightening that at the back will certainly help hold that firmer in place, but you don't necessarily need to see me do that right now. So let's think about colour on this. Okay, so if I do threes, combos of threes, maybe. I'm trying to get back to the gecko bead, that sort of outer edge. I'm just really moving my needle to come out in the spot that I want to be in so I can get some of that colour around. Now, I could do something over the top there. Actually, that might work. So let's go with yellow. Yellow. If I do 4 colours, yep, okay, that might work. Yellow, orange, vermilion, and red. And I go through the next candy bead like that. Okay, now if I do pink, purple, blue, and blue, and go through the next one. You can see how my maths are mathing now. And then I do light blue, aqua, green, and green. Go through the next one. Again, I'm going to repeat that now. So yellow, orange, vermilion, red through the candy bead. Purple. I need some more pink. So that's going to work. Purple, pink, blue, and blue. And then aqua, light blue first. Light blue, aqua, green, and green. And I should have 3 holes left. 1, 2. Okay, that's not worked. What do I need to do then? Do I need 6 maybe? I need 6 colours. Let's try 6 instead. See if that works. 4, okay. Sorry, I'm just recalculating my maths. So I need 6 in each one. Yes, no? Yes, I think maybe 6 times 2 is 12 times 3 times around maybe is what's going to work. Okay, well, let's try that again. Okay, so yellow, orange, vermilion, red, purple, and pink through my candy bead. Oh, and that makes that actually sits better on the gecko than anyway, sort of highlights the point of the gecko bead. Okay, so blue, 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 and aqua, green, and green. Yep. Oh, I love it when a design comes together. Purple, pink, pink, purple. Yep. Okay, blue, blue, blue. Aqua, green, green.
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah.
What's that?
Okay, yellow, orange. I need some more vermilion colour over here. There it is. Vermilion and red and pink and purple. Yeah, that's working now. So you can see how I'm just doing the alternating colour points there. 3 beads at a time or 6 at a time. Okay, blue, 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 aqua, green, green. So yes, 3 beads or 6 would have worked. At least with 6, it's a bit more pointed, I think, and does sort of really house that gecko bead nicely. I like the way that looks together. Orange, vermilion. Don't drop the seed beads all over the floor, Paula. Purple. Sorry, pink first. I think I've picked that wrong every time. And then one final one of the blues. Okay, so blue, blue, blue. No, that's aqua. Blue, aqua, green, and green. Okay. How does that look? Very colourful, very International Bead Week, isn't it, with those colours? So what I want to do then, I love to accentuate these points as well. So anytime there is, if there's 6 or 5, 5 makes a really rounded loop. 6 gives you the great opportunity to pop a little 15 in that peak, or an 11 if I wanted to continue with the black and white theme, but I think I'm going to do a gold. So I'm just coming up through that sort of center point there, picking up a size 15. Excuse the back of that, it's still a bit loose and I do need to tighten it. And then you can come up through those 3 there and just create that nice little peak. Then I could do black, white and black again around the edge of that candy bead. Yep, that works too. Come back up through the 3 beads. Going to need a new thread at some point because I'm nearly out of thread. And then come down through the 3. So you can see there I'm a similar edge to what I created with the little component piece, but that continuation. I mean, you could use gold. Gold might actually look better than black and white. I'm not quite sure yet. But going around and doing those points on every piece. Again, I don't think this needs the crystal drop on it. Oh, actually, it's probably not too bad. What do you think about that as the drop? It's not too bad. Yeah, let's keep going. Okay. Now, if I get some black, white, and black around that edge. Oh, definitely need new thread because that's just... So as I said, I've used Fireline. One of the reasons I love using Fireline is the ability to join that thread really easily. One of the ways I like to do that, there's my working thread. I've tied a loop on my new piece of thread here, and I just pop that over the top of the working thread like that. Draw that knot closed. I then like to get my scissors and give that a really nice fresh haircut. They're nice clean edges. And then I get my cigarette lighter and I just melt those edges very carefully. So I've got 2 little balls there, and just draw that together so that my knot forms, and run my thumb and forefinger over that. Okay, so we've got some suggestions. A white drop would look better. Yeah, I think so too. I think the crystal sort of takes away from it a little bit. I do have some nice white drops there, so let me grab one of those out in a moment and we'll see how that looks. Because I do think that the crystal, yeah, it does take away a little bit. Okay, so black gold, oh sorry, black white gold, black white black. Again, over the top of the candy bead, up through the 3 beads like that. And I'll feel that little knot just pull through. There it goes into my work. And pick up a little 15 gold and repeat that around. So what that's done is really sort of made that edge a little bit more stiffer, which helps. It's highlighted the shininess of the tiny gecko bead in there, and you can just see the gecko poking its little head through. And just given a little bit more structure to the outside. As I said, I'm not real happy with the back just yet. I do need to go and tighten that back a bit further. But the chalk matte white ochre is going to look beautiful with a white drop or a black drop. If I've got a black one, maybe I've got a black one here. And let's save those crystals to do something else because I still want to really utilise them also. I need some more black beads. So I've got, some really good amounts of some of these seed beads left over as well from this project. And as I said, I've already got an idea of what I'm going to utilise these for my next year-long rainbow project. And it will be, again, a component that I'm going to create every month and use that component to build a final piece. And I've got a bit of an idea of what that will look like. So watch out for my first one of those to appear probably in about 3 or 4 weeks' time, because I've got some of the supplies here I need for that, but I'm still need a couple more bits and pieces to finish what that's going to look like. So has anybody else thought about participating in the year-long challenge? I was very surprised that I stuck with it the whole year. That, yeah, certainly not something I generally would do. Okay, I've just broken a thread there. Where's my thread broken? Oh, on one of those little sections. Okay, let's just see if I can repair that without. You absolutely can.
Okay, so I'm dropping a link in, everybody. The IBW guys are running a gift exchange this year. Unlike last year, they're just keeping it within the country to avoid customs. So basically, you can create a little piece. It can be one of the IBW patterns, or it can be anything you've got in your stash. For us Aussies, it needs to be under or around the $20 mark in value, and you will be paired up with someone within Australia that you can post it to. So it's a fun little way to get a fun little piece of jewellery just turn up on your doorstep.
Fantastic. Did anybody participate in that last year? I certainly did, and I got a lovely candle, IBW candle that holder, which is somewhere here. So I got this last year, IBW, and it's got that little tea light in it that I can turn on, and it's got all the colours around the outside. So there certainly is some lovely thought that goes into IBW. So absolutely take advantage of that gift exchange. And Australian beaders if you haven't as yet. So I'm having to do a little bit of repair work, which don't love doing but need to because my thread broke. So bear with me while I just get back up to where I was before. But again, this is, part of the fun of live beading and designing on the fly. Partially to do with the number of thread passes that, happen with this sort of work. And also the use of fire line, can break. As much as people say it doesn't, it does break. If there's a sharp piece inside one of your beads, it can, form that little knot or, tension point that will break. We try and avoid them if we can, but if we can't, that's just the nature of what we're doing. So you can see there I've sort of got back to where I was. Oh, that one's just dropped off. So pick that up again. So I'm going yellow, orange, vermilion, red, pink and purple. Yeah. Okay, and so the consensus is no crystals, and let's have a look at a coloured drop, a white drop for that. And that's the bit that is sort of broken. I'm just going to try and hold that little piece in place very carefully while I get another thread in there to be able to hold that. So again, popping my 15 in the middle there, doing a little bit of black, white edging up again through the 3 size 11s. When I do these design on the flies, I really try and utilize all of the beads where I can that have been provided. So it's a real challenge for me sometimes to use them, because my lovely bead suppliers do like to challenge me. And if you get a chance, go back and have a look at the one about the colour yellow. That was probably the hardest one I ever had to do with the beads that Linda provided for that one. So yellow was a real challenge colour for me, and I created a really fun a really fun tassel pendant with a very large yellow acrylic piece, and it ended up winning a prize in our local show last year as well. So great challenge for me to use a colour that I was very unfamiliar with. Not one of my favourites to use or to wear, to be honest, but yeah, great challenge. So the Design on the Fly colour series is great fun. And my next one that I've got coming up is in August, and that's Angie from Chicky Babes Beads. One of my other suppliers is my supplier for that one, and that one is around citrus. So again, I don't know what it is that I'm going to be working with, but Angie has provided me. I've got a little box over there of citrus coloured beads, I'm assuming, that I will unbox and design on the fly in August. And it's usually the second Saturday in August, unless, of course, I get called onto something else. But they're all Facebook Live sessions, and you can find those at the Honest String events page on Facebook. Please, if you're interested in those, go along and just click interested or going, and then that'll pop up on your feed when I actually do go live. But again, all of these sessions I record, so they're available on YouTube later for people who are doing other things on a Saturday, or it's not the right time zone for them, and that's perfectly okay. But if you do participate in them live, you get to comment, talk to me during the session, etc. And hopefully I can answer your questions. And I've instituted a new thing from these sessions, is that when people participate in them, I'm going to be beading it forward and giving away one of the pieces that I create during those sessions, because I got lots of beadwork, as I'm sure lots of you that beaders have, and I love to see my work on other people and other people wearing it and enjoying it. So I've just decided that each month I'm going to be beading it forward and giving away one of the components that I make during my Design on the Fly sessions. So watch out for that, for the citrus one next month in August at 11 o'clock on, maybe it's the 10th, I think is the 10th of August will be the date. Okay, now I've just repaired what I had broken. So you can see there, I've now got that lovely edge all the way around the piece. I've got a couple of thready bits there that I need to fix up, but that's okay. That's part of the fixing, not the sort of final design. Really fun color combos. I love the way that the 12 colors are sort of thematic in the way that they go around the piece, and particularly that sort of, black and white and touch of gold looks really good as well. So really like that look and feel. But let's grab out a white drop and see what a white drop actually looks like on that. So I'm getting out my box of drops that I have here. Lots and lots. Now I've got some large sort of pearl ones there, which that might work. But I could use my tassel from last year, couldn't I? Where is that? Good thinking, Linda. Look at that. There's the tassel that I made last year. That could work. I'm not sure if it's a bit busy for me. Possibly. Oh no, yes, I've got yes. Okay. Paula, don't be too fussy then. Use something you've already got. All right, well, let's think about how to incorporate that tassel then. Okay, so not the plain drop. Righto. Put the drop away. And now the tassel, as I said, this is what I did last year in the Design on the Fly International Bead Week colours. So if you want to see how that was made, go and have a look at the video that I did last year, because I'm not going to replicate that now, but that's got the lipsy beads in it, some 3mm, some little rondelles that I put in, and of course the 12 colours, and this really fun loop that I created just with that colour. The IBW talisman. Okay, all right. The tassel's the winner. Let's do that then. All right, now, as I said, I've still got a little bit of thready pieces and things here that I do need to go back and repair and fix, and I will do that. But if I'm going to attach that tassel, I think I need to remove the loop that is on there, or work out how to actually build the loop in. Now, potentially I've got this nice circle here as well that I could mount something in that circle as well, possibly. Or I've got these lovely little flowers and crystals too that Michelle gave me, and they've got that little AB coating on it as well. They could sit sort of fringed in there too, like that. That could be what works. Let's try that and see. All right. Now, I've got a point here that I will use to actually connect that tassel. So what I want to do is try and come out of one of those sort of size 15s right there on that point. And I want to bring that across. I'm going to come out of the 15 and join onto this somehow. So if I've got that sort of red orange, I don't want to join just on the point like that. I don't think. No, maybe that'll work. Okay, the point of the tassel then is there. So I'm just going to sort of go through that. This will be a really fun piece to wear with a very plain black top or a very plain white top. I'm not sure I could wear any colour with a piece like this. This is almost colour overload for me. Oh my goodness. Oh, and because you know how I feel about a rope, I don't know about that. If you're new to watching these with me, I'm the laziest rope maker that there is. I love a silk cord to finish these projects off more often than not. But yes, I could actually do a International Bead Week sort of coloured piece with those seed beads or something. Or the components maybe that I made earlier might make a nice finish. Yeah, I don't know about that. Now, what the only challenge I have, and this is me being really pedantic, is I used a vermilion colour last year and a sort of a more mustardy yellow colour this year. So there is a slight variation in the 12 colours. Would anybody else notice that? Maybe a bead supplier might, but I don't think it's that obvious that it's slightly different colour in that sort of yellow and orange colour. Okay, let's see what that looks like. I'm going to just flip it up this way. Oh. Okay. Thank you, Linda. This is why I need technical support with these things. I'm just going to reverse my thread path. Yeah, that's what I think. The flower and the crystal might actually sort of go well together. You know, each flower, and I've got the 12 little crystal colours here. I think I've got 12 flowers. Let's count the flowers first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 7, 10, 12. Cool. Phew. And 12 little bicones there. And each little crystal can sit in the middle of a flower. Okay, so how many beads have I got on that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 36, so that's 3. Look at my maths there. I've worked that out. So I'm just going to come up through 3 beads. 1, 2, 3. Pop the flower on there and then the corresponding crystal. A size 15 just to hold that in place, and then come through 3 beads again. So 1, 2, 3. The flower, the crystal, and the 15. And again, I'm just picking up the colours in the same sequence. So 1, 2, 3. My flower, sort of an orangey colour. Come on. There we go. So again, just through the 3 beads. Oh, yep, that works. Okay, flower, and then it's a red. As I said, I'll know this sequence off the top of my head by the time I finish these. 1, 2, 3. Pink. So is anybody going to grab one of these little kits from Michelle and have a go at doing some of this stuff themselves? I'd love to see your interpretations of using these 12 colours, really exploring your colour choices as well. It's a great way to sort of see them used in different forms, and everybody will use these differently. But definitely have a look at the colours of International Bead Week that Michelle has in those little kits. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so it's looking really good. Now, where's my next colour? That's sort of lightish blue or dark blue? Dark blue. They've sort of all, got a bit tangled, messed on my bead board, but that's okay. Pull those through. 1, 2, 3. Blue. Come on. There's one there that doesn't have a hole in it, so I'll have to rectify that. Oh, these are fun. These I think these look really, really good, particularly with the different coloured centres on each one. And gold. One, two, three. I think that's 4, so I'm just going to reverse. Oh no, I might leave that one there. Oh no, I'll come back out of 1 because it's still got a point. Sorry, I'm literally talking to myself at this point. Dark green. And then 2, 3. And I'm just going to ream that hole. The one flower doesn't have a hole in it, which it may not cooperate. I don't think it's going to. Okay, I'm going to have to search my stash to see if I've got a little white flower like that, because I think it does definitely need the 12th one, and the 12th one is not cooperating holes-wise. So let me just get my white flowers out and see what I've got in here in my flowers box. Let's hope I got a white one, Michelle. I think I might have, or I might not. Who knows? Okay. I don't think I have a white one. I've got every other colour. There is no white in there that I can see. So imagine that there is a 12th white one on the top of that piece there, because it's not going to cooperate. So yeah, the reamer won't work. There's actually no, I need, I think, the drill to actually drill that hole out. So I'm not going to do that now because it yeah, Michelle might be sending me a white flower tomorrow. Yeah, it's actually, there's no hole to even start getting into that. But that's okay. You can see the concept and how that's actually worked together. I think that looks really pretty with the white flowers on the top. I do think sort of size-wise, visually, this probably needs to be slightly wider again, only because they're all sort of the same width all the way down. And when I'd look at something like that, I'd think the top piece needs to have a bit more width and structure on it, just so that it balances that out. But that's just my sort of personal view on that. That's where I think that one could actually have, another potential layer of the seed beads around the back side, and I could do them in the opposite colours, or do, 2 dark blue, 2 light blue, 2 aqua, so that it's actually a deeper petal that sits on the back of each of those pieces. And I think that's one of those that I could actually do. So yeah, I think that would work. Now, let's not just have a bit of a look and see what else. I'm going to put that aside because, one white flower missing. I need to add that. And I also need to put something else around that outside. But I'm going to put that aside for the moment because I really want to have a play with the crystals, the crystal drops, because they're, blingy. I love that sort of look of bit of bling that comes with them. But let's think about how I could actually utilise those with the 12 colours in here, along with what have I sort of got left that I haven't utilised yet. I think I've used everything so far. I used the drop duos. I probably could feature a little bit more of the gecko bead, given the AB focus on these crystals as well. So let's have a little bit of a play with the geckos and see what they produce. And let's make these a lightish pear. So no black in this. Let's do an all white sort of and colour and see how that looks. The pendant is sort of black heavy. And let's do something a bit white heavy with the crystals and see how that looks. So again, I've just grabbed about a bit over a metre of the crystal file line. Just thread my needle here. And okay. So my sad little flower can just sit over there for the minute. I want to save the Helios beads because I want to use them in that other component. Let's just pop a few. I'm going to alternate that little green crystal. Save that. I'm going to alternate the colours with the gecko beads. So yellow gecko, orange, gecko, vermilion, gecko, red, gecko. So there's a nice little sort of combo of what that's going to look like. Pink, gecko, purple, gecko.
Sue Whiteman from the UK has said, thank you for inspiring look at the use using unknown beads. Love the colour combo. We'll definitely be trying the bracelet with first component.
Oh, fantastic. That's what I love to hear. Thank you, Sue. I hope you enjoyed your first design on the fly session. So really appreciate you coming along to that today. Okay, that's a blue. Let me find, I need some more aqua. And the aqua colour is called Seafoam. If you're interested in that colour, beautiful colour. Opaque. I really like that aqua-y sort of colour bead. That was what is in Marina. She is all in that colour as well. Okay, green gecko, green, and your final gecko. So again, you know, there's 12 beads there. They're small, the geckos. They're not too large. I've got all the 12 colours on there, and I've got 13 geckos, so let's take one off. I'm just going to tie that into a knot. Again, this is going to work really well with that. Before I tie it into a knot, you know what I'm going to do? No, I am going to tie it into a knot. If it was a side drilled crystal, I would have used the crystal in the middle of it, but it's a top drilled, so that's not going to work. I was just going to put the crystal in between this before I tie it up, but no, that's not going to work. Okay, and have I just unpulled some of those? Yep. Okay, let's go back. Yellow, gecko, orange. Okay, let's just tie those in a knot. Again, just a really sort of simple double knot in between the beadwork there. Pull that nice and taut, and I've got this lovely little whitish circle, which when you look at that with the crystal actually works really well, the two shiny sort of colours together. Okay. Now, how do I get a bit of structure in this? I might add a second colour bead on top of each of those ones. So what I'm going to do is come up through the gecko bead, and I'm going to add exactly the same colour on the top. So it's sort of going to pull forward a little bit. Yep, that's okay, because when it pulls forward, it'll create a nice little ridge or edge for me. So you can see how I've now got two side by side there that I can then put some sort of nettle back on as well. So again, I'm just going to go through, I'm going through the gecko bead, and I'm just adding that same colour on the top of each one of those pieces. So it gives me a little bit more structure. Okay, there's my first mistake. Look at that, I'm missing a gecko bead right there. So because I did that little knot before, that wasn't too tight, I can just sort of pull that apart and pop the gecko in place. So again, you know, that's just, oh, that's a broken one, that's why. There you go, there's one that's fallen, broken. Let's just find another gecko. Again, 2-hole beads, that is often the case, that there will be either no hole or a broken piece. It's okay, you just need to sort of adapt with some of these and swap it out for something else. I'll go back to where that sort of section was and add on that extra bead there. There's my tail in the way. Pull that through. Orange. And let me go all the way back around to where that other bit was, where I need to add in a couple of blue. So I'm just going to use that same thread path. I could add other beads in just now, but I won't yet because I'm not sure what I'm going to add. But I think this is definitely probably a silvery colour to go with this rather than the gold, the sort of the cool colours of the AB look really nice with a silver sort of tone. And the check gold beads that I used earlier, the size 11s, they have a lovely silver companion, which is called Silky Silver, I think, off the top of my head. Linda can probably confirm what that is, but that's another really great silver matte colour to use as well. So I need the lightish blue one, which is that one there, and then the aqua one. Okay, so I've now got 2 in between each one of those geckos. So what that's done is give a bit more structure to that ring and given me a little ridge or edge that I can actually pull up that as well. Okay, so I'm going to pull up through a little green bead there. And let's think about what I want to add. So silver, there's my 15s in silver. Just pop some of them out. Probably 2, I think, is going to go between each of those beads. 2 or 1, I don't know yet. I'll just pop that in and see what happens. 2 is going to be a bit squashy, so I think it's only going to be 1. Because they're tiny. They're not a huge bead, the gecko bead. So I'll just flung that one on the floor then when I pulled that needle out of that. So that's something for the vacuum to pick up tomorrow. There's my second yellow one there. I am missing a yellow. Okay. Let me just go back to there. You can tell it's, what have I been doing this for 2 and a bit hours? Yeah, this is when I start to think, oh gosh, Paula, need a little break. But that's okay. I'm going to finish playing with this one. And I'm missing the yellow. And the orange I've managed to loop over too. Okay, I'm just going to break that bead. That's in the wrong spot. Add the yellow. And then I need another orange. I love this orange colour too. This is called Tangerine. Not a colour everybody loves. I love it. I wear a lot of orange. Really good, great colour, great contrast colour with navy or green or purple even. Works really well as a contrast. Okay, so now I finally have my 2 in between each one of the geckos. I'm going to come up through a size 11 bead and just add 1 little silver bead in between each one, and let's see what that looks like. It's going to give a nice focus and draw that center ring together nicely. And go like that. Yeah, that's actually a really nice little component. So again, component beading is such a fun way to make up little pieces that can become an earring, can become part of a bracelet set. Something like this could be a toggle as well, you know, really nice toggle on a chain. You could actually use this as a a feature toggle in the front of a piece as well. So toggles don't always have to go to the back of your neck and the back of your necklace. You can design it so that the toggle is part of your feature also, and something like this would be a nice little toggle with a lovely little silver bar or beaded little peyote tube would make a really lovely toggle with this too. It's got that nice shiny effect there with the AB beads, and yeah, it would make a nice little toggle. So lots of fun with a component in many ways that you can actually utilize them. Let's just see. So you can see there the silver looks really nice in there with that AB. And I'm nearly all the way around to the start. It's also got that nice negative space. It doesn't necessarily need to be filled with a Rivoli or anything like that. Can be a nice open circle sort of component that can work with our lovely crystal drop as well. And not everything that we bead has to be overly complex either. It's nice to do some simple things too, you know, easy projects to create as gifts for people or for yourself. And nice to finish something in a, you know, a shortish period of time as well. And, you know, this is the sort of thing in different colours would make a really nice decoration for Christmas or, you know, that type of thing too. So always think about how you can build your component pieces to be something else. Okay, there's our nice little circle there with that lovely AB colours on there. And straight away, that's going to look lovely with that little drop as an earring. So let's work out how we're going to attach that. So what I'm going to do is come out of one of these sort of size 11 beads on an outer edge there. And they might still need something else around them yet. Let me just think about that. Potentially I could do a little band of silver, so 3 silver beads that sat over the top of the gecko. Yep, that's not a bad look. And you could alternate that with silver and gold, or that helps to give a little bit more dimension, make it structurally a bit sounder as well, and gives a little bit of a ridge to that ring. So I'm just going around the top size 11 bead that I added there and popping 3 silvers over the top. Now this could be the front or the back yet, I don't know. Let's just see what that looks like. But what I do like is how that added layer of size 15s gives a sort of a 3D effect then to this what was a flat piece. And again, you could use, as I said, I could do some negative space and have nothing in the centre. But once you start to build on the outside of something like this, it gives you the space then to add in that sort of crystal centre or whatever you would like. But I think I'll leave it open because I've got that beautiful drop to use, and that's probably enough bling on something like this. And am I out of silver beads? One left there. Okay, 1, 2. All right, so back through the red there. That was just 2, not 3. Pop a third one in there. Okay, so you can see now I've got that. That's just given that a bit more structure, that little ring. So again, I'm not sure which way I could use either way. But they absolutely have taken on the colours of the seed beads around them. So I think I probably like the silver sitting at the back, to be honest, because what it's done is made those little geckos stand up really nicely. And then I can use those silver beads to attach the drop to as well. So what I'm going to do is come out of the centre one of those silver beads and think about the drop. So I could just do maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think. Let's just, because it's a sort of deepish length there between the crystal and the hole, and they're wide as well. So I've just picked up 6 beads there, and now I'm going to pick up another 6 size 15s. And again, the crystal is a front to back drop, front to back hole. So now I just want to come the opposite direction through that size 15 at the peak so that my crystal hangs the right way. So that's hanging the wrong way. You can see there that that is now hanging this way instead of this way. So I need to flip the way that I've actually just done that join at the back. Just part of the design process. Actually, I'm going to do a different capture on the way that I like to do these. So I've done my 6 beads there. And if I just do a stop bead at the back, so I'm just going to grab a white bead and just do 1 stop bead and go back through that top hole. Now if I pick up 6 beads again and come in that opposite direction, through that centre size 15 bead. When I pull that nice and taut now, can see how that crystal now hangs in the right direction. So I've just done a little stop bead at the back and created that lovely little drop on those earrings like that. So a different way to do it is to, do that. And again, I could probably do the same, let's do the same loop on the back so that it sort of hangs better. Okay, so I'm coming out of that same size center bead, and I'm just going to pick up, I think maybe 5 this time, 5 size 15s, and I'm going to go through that size 11. That was my stop bead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go back through that center 15 again. 5 or 6, I'm not sure. Probably needs to be shorter at the back. Yeah, that's better. So now that's held that really well in place, is a beautiful way to actually hang that crystal drop off the back of that. So again, I will just do a little loop on the top, and there is a really lovely crystally, sparkly, dangly earring. Okay, let's do a bit of a recap of what we've actually done today. So the first one is the gecko earrings with the dangly, sparkly drop. So you can see there I've got the gecko beads around the outside and then the drop on the bottom, and I've used a double thread to actually hang those. And I just need to put a little loop on the top of that one to finish that off. So they're almost done. The next one here is the Lipsy and Pyros bead earrings, again with the 12 colours around the outer edge, and I'm just popping that onto close up so you can see that a little bit easier. It actually then has the shiny SS39 crystal in the centre, along with the little champagne gold beads to highlight the metallic aspects. And all I need to do again on that one is pop a little loop on that and hang an earring wire on those also. But the Lipsy beads and the Pyros beads work really well together in that 2-hole focus. The next part is the component which will turn into a bracelet. So that's using the candy beads and the Helios beads, along with the 12 colours around the points of the Helios, and then joining those with the mini duo beads as well into a bracelet. And then lastly was the tassel from last year joined with the new components for this year. So there are candy beads and flowers. I'm missing one flower because of the wrong hole in one of those, but I will add that later. And you'll see on the next little section of video how that actually has all come together with a bit more of a secure edge around the centre focal. Hi, it's Paula from On a String, and I thought I'd just catch up and show you where I got to with finishing off the International Bead Week 25 Design on the Fly projects. So let's have a look what I actually ended up finishing. The start of the process was creating these little components, which I've then turned into a bracelet. Really fun how that all came together, and just created a really simple toggle with the 12 colours and a loop to actually close that bracelet up. And then just the little components with the Helios and the candy beads. So really fun little project in that one. The next one that I did was these little earrings. So they have the Lipsy beads in them and the colours all around the edge, along with SS39 crystal in the centre. So really simple little drop earring that features all the 12 colours again in those. The next one that I did was a bit of a combo of last year's tassel that I completed and this new design of the candy beads actually capturing the 18mm cabochon in the centre. And then I decorated the loop with the little flowers that Michelle had provided. And really fun little design. There is one flower missing because I had one that didn't have a hole in it, so I will add that at one point. But you can see the back of that piece actually features the geckos in it and a really fun edge with the 12 colours all the way around the edge as well, and then matching with the tassel that I used last year. So I'm yet to put a rope or some sort of finish on that as a hanging piece, but really happy with how that came together. And then finally, it was the little pair of earrings with the gecko beads. And these are the AB etched gecko beads, and I used a little crystal drop on the bottom of those as well. Again, featuring the 12 colours all the way around the centre of those. So that's the end of the projects from this year's International Beading Week design on the fly. Again, thanks to Michelle from Beadworx for these fabulous beads and encouraging and challenging me to come up with some new designs. And I do hope that you've really enjoyed seeing those come to life. Bye for now.